Okay, guys, welcome. We are going to go ahead and get started. I'm absolutely so excited about tonight's Zoom. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brittany Hayes. I'm an Ambassador Diamond. I'm going to introduce myself a little bit further and give a little bit of my story here in just a second, but I wanted to introduce you guys Ambassador Diamond Rachel Whigham, and I wanted to let you guys hear from her first and just give her a second to tell a little bit of her story. Rachel is just one of my dear friends in the business. She's in the Millionaires Club. She's just absolute pure fire. What I love about her so much is she just is like so one of those people that's so good about speaking the truth in love. She'll shoot it to you straight, but at the same time, she's one of the most humble people I've met in this business. And I'm just absolutely so excited for us to do this joint team huddle tonight with both of our teams, because I know it's just going to be so great. And I'm just excited to hear everything that Rachel has to share. Rachel, do you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and just introduce yourself to everybody?
Yeah, sure. So, hi guys. That was so nice, Brittany. Thank you. So my name is Rachel Whigham, and oh my gosh, I've been in this business for 6 years, and I can't even believe it. It's crazy. It's insane. I've never done anything that long in my life. I have a master's in professional counseling, and when this business found me, I was working a full-time job as a mental health case manager with children. And I loved helping people. It was just what I did. But unfortunately, in the world of social services, you just don't get paid a lot of money. And so at the time, I was a single mom. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. You know, I just finished a master's. So, of course, you got this little window where if you don't go back to school, they want some money. And so I decided, because my son was in private school, that I was going to go back to school for another master's that I did not want in order to pay for his private school, because it was that important for me to keep him in private school. I did not want the master's. I just wanted the refund. I'm just going to be real. It was a way to deter my student loans and to be able to have enough money to, have that second income as a single family home. You're paying for everything. And so here I am paying for tuition, for my son's school. I'm paying for daycare. I'm paying for all the bills. We live in a nice area. Like, I have a car, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's in activities. So I didn't want him to not be able to be in activities. So I was struggling. I was invited to a party. So still have parties because I was invited, and I was broke, and I was just going to support my friend and rap for $25, and ended up finding something that completely changed my whole world. I heard a story about a lady who was bringing in $15,000 a month, and it piqued my interest because it was like, if you can make $15,000 a month, I can make 500. I really wasn't worried about the 15,000. It just so happened that God just had so much more in store for my life. But I think the biggest part is that I was willing. I was willing to see what else God had for me. So even when I started making the extra $500 a month, which we did fast, like in my first 2 weeks, I made $400 in wrap cash. So if you add in starting to get fast starts, if you add in starting to get that residual, which my first check was only like $24. It was for $24. Let's bring that back. But I started getting fast starts, and Rap Cash was life for my husband and I. We were dating back then. And so we figured out how to make money quickly in this business. And so after that, it was like, okay, well, now what? What comes after this? And I realized that there was just so much more. We went on to pay for our wedding. We had a debt-free wedding. I went full-time in the business after getting fired from my job because I was leaving. And clearly they must have felt some type of way because I was leaving anyways. So I went full-time in the business, decided I was not going back to work. That was when we first got married, and I lost my diamond bonus, and so I had to figure it out, because it's like, if you don't figure this out, you're not even making $2,000 a month, you're going to somebody's job, and I wasn't doing it. So I'm sorry, my phone is going off for me. So I decided to figure it out. I got my diamond bonus back that same month. And because Mark bring back the goods, so it wasn't like before where you could just pick up bonuses. And so I got my bonus back, and I decided, like, never again. And so I just went on, and I understood in that moment, after I had a friend who was one of my first friends that joined me in the business, and her son is autistic. And I realized that if I helped my friend make money, not only would it help her, but it would help me. She needed to cut her hours at work so that she could take her son to therapy. And so that really touched my heart. And I realized being in social services world, if there's anybody on here, you help people all the time, but it never helps you. Like, it never does. You may get fulfilled from helping other people, but it never increases your pay. Like, it's not like a commissioned job where you save this many people or help this many people today and you get a bonus. It doesn't work like that. And in this business, I found that where I could genuinely help people change their life, and it would change mine. Because of It Works, my husband and I are a full-time family. We have 2 boys. We have one that is in private school. He's 12 years old, and he's in 10th grade, but he's like halfway through 10th grade. At 12 years old, we have a 1-year-old who has been home with us 19 months, and we just decided to put him in daycare because we can. We have a baby on the way, and the baby who's 19 months, we had struggled with some infertility things, and we ended up paying $17,000 in cash in order to not only get him here, but keep him in my stomach. And so that was big for us. We built our dream home. It's a $500,000 home. We bought new cars. We bought cars for our parents. We have single moms, so single moms who raised us. And so it was really big to be able to give back to them. And so we've been able to do that. We take family vacations all the time. We've been able to do things just the unimaginable things is what we've been able to do. Yes, we've made $1 million. Yes, we blew $1 million. So we're working on our next million, and we're actually go debt free this time. So if you're on here and you said you're going to go debt free, actually use your money to go debt free. But other than that, like, it's been amazing. My journey with Jesus has just been something that I can't even put into words. It's probably the thing that I'm most grateful for, because the peace that I have surpasses understanding, and being able to pass that along to other people is just impeccable.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. I love how you said that you guys are able to give back to your moms and help them get cars, and all these things that you've been able to do that go so far beyond just like the things we look at when we first join the business, having your baby because of this business. And oh my gosh, I love it so much. Okay, I'll just briefly tell my story, and then we've got some questions for you, Rachel. But okay, so I've been in the business for 3 years. I actually just celebrated my 3-year anniversary, I think right around the same day that, Rachel, you did your 6th. Well, what day was your 6-year anniversary?
It was the 18th.
Yeah, mine's the 19th. So
yeah.
I knew we were like right there the same. So I just celebrated my 3 years with It Works. It doesn't even seem possible. Literally, I woke up that day and I was like, where is the time gone? Like, in some ways it feels like 3 years, and in some ways it feels like that was truly just yesterday. Whenever we started this business, I had watched my enroller, Claire Flores, on Facebook for a while. I watched her actually since she started the business, and I became a customer about 2 weeks into her business for hair, skin, and nails. I had never heard of It Works before I saw her post about it, but I saw her posting all these pictures of hair. And I was like, okay, my hair's fried. I've done way too much to it. Like, maybe this will work for me. And I wanted to support her. I always thought she was so nice. So I was like, I could be one of her first customers. And then if I get some, better hair out of this, that'd be amazing. Was absolutely amazed when my hair grew 4 inches in 2 months. So I kind of like at that moment was like, holy cow, what is this company that I've never heard of? If it works for my hair, what else do they have that works? I left my auto shipment on that entire 11 months. And then I finally just reached out to her about the business. I had never expressed interest in the business before, and I want you guys to hear this, because you never know how many of your loyal customers are loving their products, keeping their auto shipment on. And yes, you're aware they're a happy customer, but they're looking so much deeper into what you're doing. And this is where consistency is so important. I read every single opportunity post Claire posted every single night. I read every single one. I always loved it, but I never commented, and I never acted like I was doing anything more than just being a nice friend, just liking her posts. Finally, after watching them go triple diamond and at that time and earn over $130,000 in bonuses, we were at a place where we were so broke, we were having to put gas and groceries on our credit card. We had barely enough liquid cash flow coming in just to pay our rent. And so I was crying out to God for a solution one night. I had just had my 4th baby. He was 8 weeks old. I was struggling with postpartum anxiety, postpartum depression for the first time ever. Never had that with the first 3. And my husband had just taken a second job just so we could make ends meet. And I knew that God was telling me in that moment, you want your solution, it's been right in front of you. Trust me and just take it. And in that moment, I knew if I want things to change, I have to take the very clear lifeline he's been putting in front of me for the past few months and just go for it. And so I laid down all my fear, laid down all my doubt and all my worry that maybe it wouldn't work for me. Maybe people wouldn't like me like they liked her. I just put all that to rest and texted her. And I literally said, hi, I want to join your team. Tell me what to do. Like, she told me to, how to sign up and said, set your auto shipment up, do this. I did everything because in that moment I was like, I want to be where she's at. If she can do it, so can I. And I hope if you're on here and you're new watching this, that you take that away, that it really is that simple. You don't have to have anything figured out. You just have to come into this teachable and willing to learn, and know that if that person you signed up with inspired you enough to reach out to them to join them, then like trust them to teach you what to do. Because like Rachel said, we're quite literally compensated to help each other. And so they're gonna take your hand and they're gonna teach you what you need to do. But that being said, 7 months in, I was earning more than my husband was. And so we retired him and brought him home. And then by 10 months in, we were both double diamonds and we're earning 6 figures with this business. By our 1-year anniversary, we were at triple diamond. I sat at triple diamond for 18 months. Excuse me. It was probably just the biggest season of lessons I've ever had in this business. God showed me so much during sitting at that rank for 18 months. I had actually lost triple diamond in the winter time that year, fought to get it back, and then came out guns blazing, went presidential, and then ambassador 5 months later. And I say that to say, I know what it's like to have highs and lows in this business. That first year, I felt like I was on fire, going triple diamond in a year. And then that 18 months sitting at triple diamond, I was like, what in the world is wrong with me? I went boom, boom, boom in a year, and now I'm just sitting here. And we'll get more into that later. But I love so much that this business, aside from what it's done for us financially, it has truly taught me about strengths I didn't know I had. It's forced me to work on weaknesses I didn't want to admit that I had. It's helped me grow my faith. Like I'm honestly convinced not much else could. But so flash forward, it was just this past April, we went ambassador diamond. At this point in the business, we've earned over $195,000 in bonuses. We paid off over $120,000 of debt. And this, I mean, I could go on and on about everything that it's changed for us, but it's allowed us to, be yes parents to our kids. It's allowed us to, after years of telling our kids no to everything they asked to do, Disney World, going on beach vacations, things like that, it's allowed us to move to the beach and then take them to Disney World for their birthday, like things that I literally used to envy other people for being able to do. That's become our normal. And I don't share that to brag. I share that to say the life that you're in right now, you just have no idea where God can put you a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. And I'm just so thankful that he dropped this opportunity in our lap when he did, because it's truly changed everything for us. Rachel, so I'm going to pass it back over to you. I would love so much. I feel like in 3 years, I've learned so much, but you've been in 6 years. What can you share with us, or just some of the biggest things that you've learned throughout 6 years in the business?
Oh my God. You know what? I could write a book. I'm supposed to be. That's so funny. So I could really write a book for you guys. It's just changed my whole life. I don't know. Everything, if you allow this business to, and I think a lot of people don't come into this like this, because when you come in, you just want money 9 times out of 10. Like you're just here for the money, but if you open your heart up to what is available to you, you get so much more than the money, right? So, oh God, biggest lessons. If you connect with Jesus, everything will be okay. That's probably number one. And it sounds so cliche and so like not even a real thing, but it's legit. If you find a real relationship with him, he'll show you the pace that you're supposed to go in terms of your business. And through his wisdom and through his discernment, he will. And I remember for 2017, my word for the year was discernment, because I just felt like, so for just a little background, I've actually been a top income earner for 5 years now. Shout out to the money team. We've been a top income earning team. No idea. Like my enroller quit 2 months into the business. So like maybe we both went Ruby the second month, and then she decided to like just dissipate. So we had to figure it out. And so we just decided to band together and we figured it out. And I remember like events, there were non-negotiables for us. So there were the events, the togetherness, fighting together like family, because you don't always like your family, but you still love them. And so you're always going to be there. It's just, that's the kind of environment that we have on our team. And so once we really decided to make the shift, because it wasn't just, I'm here to make extra $500 a month for a season and I'm moving on in my life, but I'm here and I'm here for whatever it is that God intends for me to be here for. You have to kind of look towards him. So if you do that from the beginning, how much further could he take you? So that was probably the biggest lesson for me, is like, why did God bring me this business? And I know a lot of times you feel like it's just for relief in this moment, but I promise you, like if you think beyond the relief, and this is where my team is now, which is so crazy. So it's and then what is what I call it hashtag and then what. what's after it? Like after you are not like, what brought you to this business? That's the real question for everybody on here. What brought you to this business? And for me, it was because I needed extra money. Like a player was broke. Like I needed some money, right? And then beyond that, I could not see beyond that. Because 9 times out of 10, whatever brought you to this business, even if you have the hope to get past it, you don't know what's on the other side. And if you don't know what's on the other side, you will go backwards. You'll get what you came for, and then you'll go back to where you were. And so for me, I had to figure out, so my number one lesson is if you don't have an and then what, you'll never grow. And so I needed to figure out what's next. If I'm not broke anymore, what would I do? I don't even know. Like if I don't have, if I paid my mom's car, if I bought my mom a car, like, you know, that's my goal in life. You know, so many people want to buy their mom a house. Okay, so what if you bought your mom a house? Then what? Like what's on the other side of buying your mom a house? And we think so small, and you have to really understand that this business is set up to give you any and everything that you could ever imagine. And so on the other side of, number one lesson is get with Jesus. Number 2, figure out what in the world is on the other side. Like what happens when you're not broke anymore? What happens when you can give back $1,000 a month? Like what happens when you have a 4-figure tithes? Like what happens when you start marking these things off of your dream board? And then what? And then also what's beyond you? And that was another thing for me as well, because it's not about me. And that's the, that was number 1. That's a very good lesson for me. And I actually found that out early on, which completely shifted my business, and which is why I believe that I am a top income earner, because it's never been about me. Like, of course I'm going to eat. Like we know that's how this business works. You know what I'm saying? But it was always on the other side. Who could I help? Like are my actions in my success? Who is it helping? How many people are having extra income coming to their household? How many people are able to put gas in their car? How many people, like when I do rap parties, my intentions when I launch people is so that they walk away with money. Like I want you to get your money back. Like I want you to be successful and make money, even if I'm not making the big coins yet. Like, and that's the biggest thing. You have to have the right heart, because when your distributors first start, you may get $100 fast start, but beyond that, you truly have to help them change their life in order to really reap the harvest. So you have to switch that heart to how can you help other people instead of focusing on you. And so that was a big one as well. I don't know, like I can sit here and rant all night about lessons. So I guess maybe if you're a little more specific, you can be a millionaire if you want to. You got to speak life over your business, even when you feel stupid. Like, I mean, there were so many times when it was funny. We were watching something and talking about the manifestation. Like I'm so glad I put it on Facebook. I don't even know. I think I said I was being a millionaire back in like 2014. Like ain't no millionaire in sight. But I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire before I'm 30. Like before I'm 30, I just put a time on it and everything. And here I was. I'm like, I had turned 30. And so I was 30 and a half when I became a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So like you put it out there and you stick with the one who gave you the vision, and I bet you he'll make it come to pass. So you got to start speaking some things, even if you're scared, even if you have no idea how it's going to happen. You got to start speaking life over your business, even when you don't see it.
Oh my gosh, I love all of that so much. And I love how you said just like putting those specific goals out there. That's one of my goals too. I'm going to be 30 next year, and it's been my goal and on my dream board, millionaire by 30. And I just love so much how you shared, like you have to think beyond whatever you're thinking now. And I think so often in this business, like we start learning to dream big from the beginning. I mean, if you start what is the word? Just like immersing yourself in, the culture, like you start realizing like, oh, wow, more is possible than I ever thought. But even so, we still can hold ourselves back and sell ourselves short. And I just love so much that hashtag and then what, I put that in the chat. I think that's so good. Okay, the next question I had for you is, in this business, 6 years, I'm sure that you have seen more people than you could possibly count walk away. But for you, you've been unwaveringly faithful and you've remained planted. And I'm sure you've had people that you loved and cared about walk away. I'm sure you've had people that you didn't think were going to walk away. But what can you share with people about just the importance of staying firmly planted, no matter what's happening around you, whether people are walking away, whether you lose rank, no matter what happens, like you've seen God come through for you time and time after again. And I just would love for you to touch on that.
Okay, so let's see, be led on this one. Okay, so So personally, I'm going to speak from my own experience. So personally, when I first came into the business and I went to my first conference, that was 2014. It was the Freedom Conference. I was broke there, super duper broke. I remember like bumping into Mark. First of all, I'm in the store, the Airwork store, with not a coin, but my husband, who was my boyfriend, was going to hook a player up. So I was like, oh, he's going to give me a shirt. So I'm going to go in here. Anyways, I didn't have any money, but he bought me a shirt. But anyways, so I'm in the store and Mark comes in, and Mark has been, and you may see him in the store now if he has the time, but that's just who he is. And so he was walking around the store. He actually, if I'm not mistaken, he was like trying to figure out and make sure everything was in order, because back then, like the line for the store, Jesus, like y'all think the line for the store is bad now? Like the line for the store was like, you got to wait about 2 hours to get in the store. It was crazy. But we're inside, and I remember my friend and I was like, oh my God, like that's Mark. Let's ask him for a picture. And she's like, no, I'm not asking. And I'm like, fine, I'm asking, because y'all know I'm the bold. And so I was like, Mark, can we have a picture? And it's so funny. It's like Zach, and his bodyguard, which are still his bodyguard. Usher's not his bodyguard, but I always think Usher is his bodyguard because he's always with him. But anyways, and Usher is the compliance guy, if you guys don't know. Anyways, so they were together, and he was like, yeah. He was like, no, we'll take a picture. And so he takes this picture, and just learning the heart that they had, because he really doesn't see himself as, he knows he's the CEO, but the humbleness that I get from them. And since then, we've had a picture with them like every single time. And just the willingness to just do something as simple as take a picture when you really are busy. Like, it's not like you're busy for real. And you could say like, oh, I can't do it right now. But just taking that moment and saying I'm important enough. And so from the beginning, learning the heart of this company. And then of course now, like it's so personal for me because I really know their heart because I have personal relationships with them. But understanding that their desire for us. I probably say, you went to the ranch, right?
I haven't been to the ranch, no.
Oh, okay. So when I went to the ranch, see, maybe I'm speaking now of your life. So when I went to the ranch and I had like this emotional breakdown, right? I did. I mean, Cammy was already Zayden's godmom, all that jazz. But I had this emotional breakdown. Why? Because that was right after everybody left. And they had opened up their island. They had opened up their home. And I just couldn't understand how there is no other CEOs opening up their house. Like, that's not a thing. Like, that's not, when we see these things where they're willing for us to come to their ranch and hang out at their crib, like other CEOs don't do that. And so for me, being in their house where I'm walking through their closet, like their actual clothes are in the closet, you know what I'm saying? And I'm walking through like where their kids sleep, their grandchildren. Like when I was walking through all that stuff, I was so overwhelmed because it was like, you think that much of us, that you would allow us to invade your personal space, even in the midst of knowing that we might walk away tomorrow. Like you don't know. And so that heart of Christ for me was just something that was so beyond anything that I've ever experienced in life. And you just don't walk away from somebody who has that kind of heart and then also realizing, if you guys didn't know, Mark and Cindy make a lot of money and it's not through the business, okay? Like they're not hurting for coins. Like they're not here trying to push us along, but to go beyond $1 billion because they need our money. Like that's not that. And when I got that and I realized that the reason they push this business is so we can be debt free, like it just changed everything. Like and no kind of money can buy that. So for me, like there is no other option. Like it doesn't matter. And it's taught me so much over these 6 years because so many times we're so consumed with how much money we can make. But to be honest, we're very, like we're not responsible. Like we're not good stewards. And so you make a $10,000 bonus, you get your first check and you go buy some shoes. Like you didn't join this business to buy some shoes. So why? And I've done it. So I'm not judging you. Okay. I'm not judging you, but you didn't join the business to buy shoes. And so they teach us to be these good stewards of our money and to have the Christian values and the Christian principles. It just falls in line with just my life and just getting it together. It allows me to be me. You know, it allows me to figure it out. It allows me to have grace, and the compensation plan is so gracious in the midst of me trying to figure it out. Like, oh my God. So I'm just grateful. Like there's just no way, like there's just nothing else for me. And it doesn't matter who walks away. Let me say this and I'm done. So when my upline left, Like, everybody's like, well, why didn't you leave? Because a lot of people do that. They're upline quits and they like, oh, I'm gone. Oh, you gone? I'm gone, right? And for me, I didn't start this business. She invited me, right? She said she invited me to that party. She invited me to this opportunity, but I did not say yes because of her. I said yes because I had a 6-year-old who was in private school, who I was paying daycare and tuition as a single mom. I didn't say yes because I like you. I said yes because I needed this opportunity. And so if I needed this opportunity, I'm going to get here. I'm going to get everything that God intended for me to get, instead of me walking away empty-handed because you decided to be well, that's not nice, because you decided to walk away.
I love that so much. I just think there's just so much truth to be said about it doesn't matter if someone else decides to give up on their own dreams. Why in the world would that cause you to give up on yours? Like them giving up on themselves has nothing to do with you. But you're absolutely right. It happens so much. I just love all that so much. And about everything you were saying about Mark and Cindy, I think that was one of the first things like we really noticed about this company when we got started, was just how special it was. We could just tell right from the beginning, like there is something so different about this company. And like I saw someone put in the chat about Cindy, legitimately praying over us. I'll never forget when I went and had breakfast and coffee with her before Bradenton Green Carpet last year. There was a group of us and we went up and to the Whole Nother Level Club, and she literally served us coffee, served us muffins, all these cute little things, and then just sat there and prayed over us and prayed over our businesses. And I know obviously you just ranted on about this, but I just like I have to tack on, like that is not normal. You do not have normal CEOs' wives who care enough about you to invite you in a small group of 20 just so they can feed you and give you coffee and pray over you. Like that's just so not normal. And I think that is just like out of everything, something that I just wish everyone could understand from the beginning. And then just what you were saying about debt free, I could not have loved that enough. When we paid off our last credit card the month before going ambassador, we literally said to each other, Zach and I, we said, we don't think we would have ever felt compelled to pay off all of our credit card debt, like all of them, had it not been for Mark and Cindy, because we came from families who both like had money, but also floated money a lot, also used their credit cards, also, at times maybe spent more than they should or whatever. And so it was never something I grew up thinking like, oh, well, this is an important deal. Now, I didn't like the way that debt made me feel, but I think that had it not been for Mark and Cindy, I would have probably paid off some of it and then not really thought a lot about the rest. And I've been like, oh, it's fine. But they really just changed the way that we viewed money and the way that we viewed our finances. And I'm just so thankful for that. So another question I had for you was just in the 6 years in the business, what is or I guess not something like one thing in particular, but I'm sure you've seen like so many changes and you've seen so many things come and go, and you've seen people, share these tips or that tips, but what is something that you would speak to everyone about just the power of consistency and like what you have seen stay the same throughout the 6 years, despite what people are doing? Like what's the hottest thing to do now? Like what is something you would say about that?
Yeah, so it's funny. I was just talking about this morning, and I've actually been talking about it a lot, since the call. Well, my husband went presidential, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been his triple. But when he went presidential, we did a call. We did team calls with people promote. And we used to do our own because, you couldn't get on to show me money until you was like big. So we did our own. And we used to make it like for potentials. But he did a call, and he first said, be patient, be brave, be consistent. Right. So that's been his like thing on his wall forever. And when he first said that, I don't think it resonated with me because I was just doing it. But now it's like it's my life. Like the reason why I am where I am is because on the bad days, I keep going. There is no off days. There is no, I don't feel like it. I have to be patient, know that the seeds that I'm planting and understanding like your business works the same way. One thing I learned through reading the Bible is that concepts go from entity to entity, right? So just like a farmer plants a harvest and he picks his harvest, it's the same way with your business. And like I was just telling the team today, because I'm reading the Gospels again. And when you scatter seeds, like first of all, if you ask the farmer how many seeds they plant, they're not going to tell you they plant I don't know, like let's just say they had this small plot. They're not going to say, well, I only planted 20 seeds. No, they plant a lot of seeds because they don't know that if the seeds will fall on good ground. And so you have to be consistent. And I don't care if you do the most every day. Like you might have a day that you send 100, 200, 300 messages because you're feeling yourself. But there should never be a day you do nothing. That's not a part of your consistency. So for me, the steps to success work. I'm not a mass enroller. I may have a month that I'm popping, but mass enrolling is not necessary for success. But having a servant heart and doing the steps to success, and when I say steps to success, you have to, number one, use the product, period. Like the auto ship is a non-negotiable because you are your best customer. So if you're not using the products, you can't be hyped up. And you don't even have to be the one using them, because in the beginning, I used to have a bag of wraps on my auto ship and greens on the go. Okay, I would give the greens on the go to my customers as a thank you in their thank you cards, and the wraps I would sell so that I could run my auto ship again. Like that's how I kept my business alive in the beginning, right? Because I did not have money outside of, because when I was getting my checks and my fast starts, it was going to private school. So I would make sure I wrapped at least 4 people a month, and that I was sending my thank you cards so that I could reinvest in my business. And I wasn't even a business owner. I didn't even know anything about that. I just know you got to take care of what you want, right? And so what you want to stay around. And so for me, the steps to success is just a non-negotiable. You bring in those, but for me, when I was wrapping 4 people wrapping are 4 potential loyal customers. If I can get all of them to lock in as 4 potential loyal customers, not only did I make $100, but I also made 4 customers, and then I'm going to ask 3 people to join me. So the steps work, and you have to take care of your distributors. Like that's probably the biggest thing for me, because I do have a lot of people who not necessarily, I have a lot of people who dissipated, like a lot are gone. But I have a lot who are still here. And that's because I learned how to take care of people and understand that my number one product is people. So as much as I love these products, I have to love the people more than I love everything else. And if you take care of God's people, he'll take care of you. And so as a result, and then you have that solid foundation of the steps to success, then it's automatically going to duplicate itself as you continue to lead from the front loudly. Yeah, if that makes sense. So it's just about being patient, being brave, and being consistent, and the steps to success work. Systems are important. So if somebody above you creates a system, follow it. Because if you don't create a solid foundation for your distributors when they come in, of course, it's not good. It's not a solid ground. Like I was telling my team today, like you got a house made of straws because you want to cheat the system, thinking cheat the system. We talked about this morning. You ain't cheating no system. You cheating yourself. You can't cheat the system. If you cheated the system, you would win, but you're not winning. So you're not cheating anything but yourself. So just keeping that in mind. I was like, why do people say that? Like you always think about that. Like you have all these stupid sayings that we've learned all our lives, but they don't even make sense. How are you cheating the system? If you were cheating the system, you'd be winning. You would lose it. You're not winning. You're not cheating. You're cheating yourself.
Oh my gosh. I could not love any of that more. I put all of your mic drop quotes in the chat. That was so good. I love how you said you can't cheat the system, you're cheating yourself. And I think that that's something that just takes so many people a long time to learn, because they really do come in with that bare minimum mentality. Like, what can I do to just barely make it by? And I think for me, like one thing that God has shown me is every single rank, and I know you would agree with this wholeheartedly, like you've got to step up. Like you have to level up every time you literally level up, because to whom much is given, much more shall be required. And if we're not being faithful with what God's given us, then he's not going to trust us with any more. And I think so often we can get in that bare minimum mentality where we're like, okay, well, I've arrived. Now I'm just going to sit back and I'm just going to do the bare minimum to keep everything afloat. But I love what Mark says all the time on the calls. Like there's only one way to coast. Like if you're coasting, you're going backwards. What would you share about what you've learned about momentum? Like, I know we always hear the power of momentum. And specifically, like, what would you say to people who are always starting, stopping? Like they're on fire for 2 weeks and then you don't hear from them for a month. And they pick it back up and then it's the same thing all over again. And they're wondering like, why can I never make any headway?
Well, so first I'm going to talk about what you just said about when you rank up. So how I like to explain it to my team is that when you go to higher ranks, it's just an elevated place to serve. And if you think about, like, I mean, come on, I'm just gonna just use the Bible because it's just that good. Jesus always said that the highest among them is actually the lowest. And so if you're not realizing that as you go higher, you're supposed to serve on a higher level, like that's what that means. You went diamond, you need to serve higher than what you were serving as a distributor. So your servitude has to go that much higher in order for him to take you higher. Why should he continue to elevate you and you're not going to serve when that's what his whole heart and his whole ministry is about? So anyways, but when it comes to momentum, I'll say this. So it's crazy. I just made a post the other day. And then so I was talking about this on my team meeting the other day. So I don't know if anybody has kids on here, okay? You got kids, you got toddlers, and when you're patting them to sleep, it's the worst thing in the world, especially when they're like my son's age and they're big. So you're not just laying them down and patting their back. Like you have to actually hold them and physically like rock and pat, right? And like you're rocking and patting, you're rocking and patting, and you get to that one point where your arm is just burning. And you like, hey, like, and they don't even seem like they don't even seem like they're tired, but they are, right? And so you patting and rocking, and you like, I'm about to stop. I got to switch positions because my arm not going to make it. But if you push through the burn, well, let's go through the first one. So you move, right? You decide, okay, it hurts. So let's change positions. What are you doing? You have to start all over again because now they like, oh, I'm free. I'm free. You might have to fight with them again to get them back in a position to where you can even rock and pat, right? This is real life if you're a parent. Like, this is true because I do it every day. And I just hand them over to my husband because I just don't have time for my arm to be burning. So anyway, so then you have the other side, but if you push through the burn, right? So your arm is burning, but you say, you know what, we're going to sleep. I don't care if my arm, but I don't care if my arm fall off. I'm not stopping until you go to sleep, right? So you keep patting until the baby goes to sleep. And if you keep going through the burn, if you keep pushing through the burn, the baby will be asleep. And guess what? Your arm will recover. You know what I'm saying? Like your arm not going to fall off. And you're happy because you didn't have to take 10 times as long to get that baby to sleep because you pushed through the burn. That for me is how momentum works. If you decide to stop in the midst of the burn, in the midst of a disappointment, in the midst of some type of discouragement, in the midst of opposition, in the midst of whatever you're dealing with, death, with sickness, frustration, whatever in your feelings, like whatever it is, when you stop in the midst of that, you are literally shifting positions and starting all over again from square one. And that just takes you back to the whole be brave, be patient, and be consistent. Because if you're not willing to push through the burn, you don't deserve the trophy anyway. So you deserve to start from day one because you're not willing to overcome the things that are necessary in order to get you and help you sustain at that level. So push through the burn.
Oh my gosh, so good. I think that so many people just don't realize that anything worth having is not going to come easy. Like the best things we have in our lives are things that, like you said, we have to push through, we have to fight through. I always love to use the analogy about having a baby. Like it doesn't matter how sick you are in those early days of pregnancy. There's nothing you can do to be like, doctor, just take this baby out of me. I'm done. Like your baby cannot, his life is not sustainable outside your womb until you've carried him for a certain point. And I think it's just the same thing with our business. Like if it comes to you quick and easy, you can lose it quick and easy. And so for me, like learning to lean into those lessons, and I shared, about just all those lessons I felt like I learned sitting at Triple Diamond for 18 months. But that was one of the things that God really showed me is like, if you will stay close to me during this time that you don't understand, that you're disappointed. I had 2 diamonds walk away during that period and it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, what in the world is happening? But he showed me, if you'll stay close to me during this time, if you'll step up and like you said, lead your team to a level you haven't led them before. If you will be willing to go above and beyond and lean into these lessons, you'll get through it. And one thing that he spoke to me during that time was, I will restore to you the time. I'll help you redeem what was lost. And I look back at the gap from Pres to Ambassador, and I know that was 100% him. And I know that had I not been willing to like lean in, even when I did not understand during those times, during Triple, I know that I wouldn't have had a 5-month gap between those 2 ranks. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, like I'm a super red personality. And so when I had people that during that season were promoting before me and people that seemed like on the outside, it didn't even look like they were working as hard as me. And it seemed like everything was going great for them. Their team was on fire and all that. Like that was definitely challenging for me, but it forced me to do every single day, do a heart check every single day to examine the thoughts that I was telling myself that maybe I didn't even want to admit I was telling myself. And one thing that I've learned is just that whatever you speak out is like what you're going to see be brought about. There's a reason Jesus says, whatever a man thinks, so shall he be. And I just think so often, and I know Rachel's touched on this several times tonight, but so often we don't take heart on what is coming out of our mouth. We don't take those thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ. And we wonder why our life is just in complete shambles all the time. But it's because we're not monitoring, we're not guarding our heart and we're not guarding our minds. And so for me, like learning like the things that I spoke were so important. And I had to stay close to the Lord. If I felt like I was shaky and I felt like I was weak one day and my head wasn't in the right place, I had to go back to him and say, what are you trying to teach me through this? So I just love all that so much. Okay, Rachel, what is something that you would want to share with people about just specifically what we have our hands on right now? I know that I'm sure you would agree, this is rare air, even for me, just in the 3 years of the business. I've told my team so many times, like I have never seen what I've seen right now, my entire 3 years in the business. So I'm sure for you, being in double the amount of time as me, you have your own, all your own opinions about that. But what is something you would want to share about that?
So back to what you just said before that, there's a book that I actually told my whole team they all need to read it. But I suggest it because, you talk about taking your thoughts captive, as the scripture says, but there's a book by Joyce Myers and it's called Living Beyond Your Feelings. And I finished that book last month, and it changed my life. Okay. Like I did not realize, and I always tell my team this all the time, and I'm just straight up no chaser. But I tell them, a lot of times we are pawns, like literally a pawn on a chessboard. And not even pawns. I told them one day that we was checkers, like straight up checkers, like you just, anyways. Because at any moment, like you are able to be moved. Somebody else is controlling your movements. You're not controlling them. And I remember just an event I just left just recently with my family. And I said, some of you guys are like, if I hold the remote control to you. You know that, right? And they're like, no. I'm like, I literally hold a remote control. And all I got to do is press one button and I can make you clown. Like I can press one button. And what's so crazy is we will let anybody press the button. Like it's not even that certain people have the remote. Anybody can have your remote. So if somebody says no, guess what? You're not gonna work your business. If somebody ignores you, guess what? You're like, people are controlling you. And so the book it talks about your feelings not having, and like they have no say so. You don't give your feelings a vote. And so this is how I became as consistent as I am when it comes to my day in and day out, especially being 6 months pregnant. Like, I don't want to go to the gym. And I remember telling Brittany, like, I'd be like, oh, I don't feel like it today, but I'm going to go because I don't feel like it. But then it was like, why am I even talking about why I don't feel like it? Like, who cares if you don't feel like it? That's not what we're doing. Like, we're not doing that today. Like, we're going to the gym and we're not even going to talk about whether you feel like it or not. And I told them today, I said, maybe y'all should start talking to yourselves like me and just look crazy. Because I've been telling myself, like, I don't care what you feel like today. Okay. Anyways, but so read that book. It changed my life completely. But it's so crazy. I've never been, okay, so I have been in 6 years. And I have seen some crazy stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I have seen some insane stuff. Like, you joined in 2000 and what year?
June 2016.
Okay, yep. So you missed the craziness. Listen, in 2015, that was just like, what in the heck is going on in this business, right? So that's when everything changed in my life, was 2015. Oh my God, y'all, that's when Mark, he think he give a lot of money away now. Yeah, it was like $100,000 bonus on the table. Like, and it wasn't Black Diamond. Okay. Anyways, it was crazy money. But to come back full circle and to see how the products are growing and how it's relevancy, but now for me, like even with the products that are exiting and how Kyler went live in the top leaders page and just changed my whole perspective. And it was like, am I thinking like a consumer or am I thinking like a business owner? And to be honest, most people are thinking like consumers, not business owners. And you're so worried about your own personal products opposed to the sales and what's really going to help people change their life. And so it just completely changed everything everything in terms of my perspective and staying relevant, but also staying in a place to where our products are still high quality and that they're like, so it's so crazy. Like there's so much opportunity. And then with the opening of, oh my God, Mexico, listen, like if we had Mexico back in the day, like when I was out spending all my coins, going to Mexico every year, you know, like it would have been on and popping. But now, like it's insane the amount of, because now, you know, people say they don't have no people, but now you got 2 new countries. So you can't say you don't have any people. You just got to figure out who in the world knows somebody. And I got somebody on here who's a double diamond and she Filipino. Like, come on, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole market out there. So half Filipino, but still, like there is so much opportunity that it's just mind blowing. And with the new products, it just makes us that much more competitive because of the high quality and the fact that our products work and that you can get results quickly, like quickly. Like I don't know, maybe because I've never tried it, but I've never been in a position to where, and I will say this, like I had stretch marks really bad when I joined with my son, my first one, he jacked me up. And I couldn't believe that the stretch mark cream worked the way it did. I was like, listen, I've been trying to stretch mark. I go to the store and get the bleaches, okay? Anything to help my stomach. And those still didn't do what I needed them to do. And these products work so quickly, like hair, skin, and nails. Come on, Jesus. Like edges and length in my hair. Like I was bald headed. I cut my hair completely off. And now my hair is like bra strap length. You know what I'm saying? Like, whoa, like these products are so high quality. And so for me, like if you don't realize what you have your hands on, it's because you're not, you must be distracted. Let's just say that. You must be distracted because there's something for every single person. And honestly, like when it comes to like the collagen and there are things that people need every single day, you know, like you should take collagen every single day. You should, the greens, of course, the greens have always been life, you know what I mean? Like since I first started this business, but there's so many opportunities to grow yourself and there's so many opportunities to open up conversations with people. If you're willing, like you said at the beginning, to step outside of your comfort zone. So honestly, they are doing everything in their power to put us in position to go beyond $1 billion, but people have to get over themselves first in order to even see the opportunity that's before them. And I don't know, let me tell you this, Brittany, like I think the biggest thing that kind of just blows my mind is when you meet somebody who understands that they don't have to understand. And that was me in the beginning. I didn't have to understand.
100%. That was totally my mindset when I got started was I'm a hard worker and I'm willing to learn. If I just remain teachable, I'll figure it out as I go. And I think one of the biggest mistakes people make coming in is feeling like they stay paralyzed because they feel like, oh, well, I don't know what I'm doing. Newsflash, none of us knew what we were doing when we got started. None of us came in with all the product knowledge, knowing what to do, great at sales. Like, I mean, guys, I was Zooming with Rachel a couple of days ago and she was like, so do you blitz a lot? And I'm like, I mean, sometimes. Like, I'm still learning and getting better at things now. And I was showing her like my little cards I've been handing out to like cashiers and waitresses and how proud I was of myself. And she's like, oh, so that's it? I'm like, she said it nicer than that. But 3 years in, like, I'm just now like growing in this area. And I say that to say, like, you can't come in thinking, I'm not even going to give it my best shot until I figure it all out. Because if that's the case, you're never going to be giving it your best shot because you can't figure it out until you just take action and just go for it. And I think that is just one mistake that I just see people make so often. And it makes me so sad. Like, I just want to shake them and just say, trust me, like, I have your best interest at heart. I'm literally compensated to help you. Like, if there's one person you don't have to worry about not going to steer you in the right direction, it's me, because that's what I'm here for. Like, I love how you shared that in the beginning, Rachel, that the company literally compensates us to help people. And I think it's such an amazing system because anyone can join us and be so scared, so nervous, not knowing how anything's going to work for them, but they can take heart knowing this person's got my best interest at heart. They are literally invested in my success. And if you get that through your head and you know, like, if you joined them and something drew you to them, you need to just trust them. You need to just take their hand and run with them because they're not going to steer you wrong. I wanted to share too, you were talking about Mark giving a lot of money away in 2015. So I wasn't around for that, but do you remember the $1 million drawing, the end of 2016?
There's actually somebody on here that won that.
Oh my gosh, are you serious? That's so amazing. I remember watching that live. So I want to share just two sides of this coin. Whenever we got started, there was never any discount on distributor kits when I got started until 1 year in was when they did $9.99. And then, since then we've had several different times we've done half off or $20 kits or whatever. But my first year in the business, I built a triple diamond without kits ever being discounted. There was literally never a discount on the kits. They were always $99. And I think that so often that's something that people, they like wait for, like, oh, well, I can sign more distributors if the, kits would go on sale. And I just want you to know, like, you don't need kits to go on sale. Rachel built up to presidential without ever having kits on sale. I built up to triple without ever having kits on sale. But yeah, on the other side of the coin, I remember the $1 million drawing. That was just like such an incredible moment for me. And I think Zach and I, like, we were just like sitting there in amazement. We were rubies. And Mark, for those of you that are on here and you weren't in the business yet, Mark literally just gave $1 million away. He drew however many names, was it 100 people won $10,000, right?
20,000 per person, right?
It was 10,000 per person.
10 or 20? I think it was 20.
I thought it was 10, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Either way, he gave away $1 million. He drew like an even amount of names and gave away $1 million. And it was just so crazy. But there was that, and then also conference that year. Remember, it was the same thing, Rachel. He gave away.
Wait, so that was another drawing. So they just give away money all the time. So why did that time, and then it was 20,000 another time? Jesus. Yeah. And all you had to get was one loyal and one DT to get in the drawing.
Yeah, exactly. But I say that to say, like, guys, we're part of a company that's so amazing. No matter what they're doing, whether it's new products coming out, whether they're giving us, 3 codes to go sign 3 distributors for half off, whether Mark's just feeling generous one day and says, if you sign a DT and an LC, you get an entry into $1 million drawing. It doesn't matter. Like, we're a part of a company that, like Rachel said, is always positioning us to be our best. It is always giving us every leg up in the world to be our best. And I love just so much how you put it so bluntly that if you don't know what you have your hands on, you must be distracted. Because I couldn't have said that any better myself. Like, you must be distracted. They do so much for us. They go above and beyond. And I just think that if there's anything I want to wrap up with, it's that there is no company out there like our company. And if you can just truly accept that right now, even if you know nothing else, if you can accept that you are a part of the best, you're a part of people who from the top down to the bottom care about people, from the top down to the bottom want everyone in their organization to grow closer to Christ, from the top down to the bottom want everyone to be debt free and want to go out and serve the world and make an impact that knows no bounds. If you can get that through your head, you can figure out everything else as you go. And that's all you need to believe that you're in the right place at the right time and that this business can be a blessing for you too. So what would you want to leave us with, Rachel? I know you have just so much wisdom you could share, but what is just anything you would want to end with?
I don't know. I'm just listening to you. Like, that is so good. Like, when you think about it, because so it's crazy. I don't even know. I do know, because if it wasn't spirit led, I wouldn't know half the things that I know, even though college educated with all these degrees. Okay. Right. But, that we are in a world of, a world. So let's not talk about a word. So in the world, like, it's a dog eat dog world. Like, everybody is out here just trying to get it how they live. Like, they're trying to get to the top by any means necessary. And so when you come from, and this is even good for anybody who's even, when you talk to your potentials, just knowing that, like, 9 times out of 10, they're coming from a broken system. So when they come into It Works and it is rare air, they're going to be culture shocked. Like, they're going to be like, what in the world? There's no way possible that you want me to succeed like this. Like, you're not that nice. Like, stop faking. I get a lot of people when they come in, like, okay, when are you going to start being phony? Like, when is it coming? And so when they come into this, they have no idea that we have that heart of Christ. Like, and if you don't have that heart of Christ, I'm praying right now in the name of Jesus that you get that heart today. But like, when you have that heart of Christ and you just want to see people succeed and you're in a structure to where if anybody eats, it's not hurting you. Like, when people are successful, it helps you become more successful as long as you're willing to continue to be brave, be patient, and consistent. Because if you're going to be consistent with your business, regardless of if they're going or not, eventually you're going to be able to reap from what they're doing because you've decided that regardless of what's going on in life, that you're going to keep going. And so I think if I could just end with the one thing, it would just be that, like, no matter what, you have to decide that you have to make a decision. And I know you've probably heard that like 1,000,001 times, but you have to make a decision that you're going to be all in. And that's crazy because I know back in 2016, I bought these bracelets for my team when we went to conference, and they said all in. And a lot of times people have no idea what it even means to be all in. All in is not lukewarm. You know, the Bible says that he would rather you be cold than to be lukewarm. If you're going to be out doing whatever, like if you're not going to work your business consistently, like you will get lukewarm money. You'll get the hobby money. And a lot of times people don't realize that when it comes to working a hobby is not a part-time job. Okay, so a lot of times people are saying, I work this business part-time, but you really don't. You work it as a hobby, because at part-time, like, put things into perspective. I've had a part-time job before, and you're going to go to an establishment. You're going to use your gas, go to an establishment. If they have a uniform, you're still going to buy it, even if you're part-time. And you're going to, like, let's just say you waitress part-time, you have to have a certain type of shoes. You know, you have to have a certain type of uniform. And then on top of that, you have to go to them and give them a committed certain amount of hours, and then you have to go home. And even if you have to have those non-slip shoes before you start your job, you're going to find them, even if you don't have a dime to your name. You're going to go, you're going to ask your mom, you're going to ask somebody to buy you some shoes so you can start your job, because you see benefit in this part-time job that will never pay you what this business will ever pay you. And so if you're doing this business part-time, like, just be real with yourself. Are you a hobbyist? Are you part-time, or are you full-time? And if you're part-time, then you need to have a set schedule full of things that you do for your business. And it needs to be the things that are income producing. And so one thing that we do, and I know you're not really that big on messaging, but for us, like, we post, we message, and we follow up every single day. But on top of that, your spiritual development and personal development are non-negotiables. And so we call it SDP, DPMF every single day, because as much, and for me, personal development, as much as people love going to YouTube and getting some YouTube juice, personal development is not you can get personal development from YouTube, but that should not count as your personal development for the day. You need to be reading somebody's book. When it comes to your spiritual development, it's so good to get a sermon, like, listen to that sermon. But at the end of the day, that does not take away from your time in God's word. It's not the same thing. You can't base. It's almost like going and saying, well, based off of Brittany's story, that's how I'm going to be successful in this business. But you got to create your own eventually. So I can't always be trying to go forward based on your anointing. I have to get my own, right? Because God wants a personal relationship with me. So these products, they want a personal relationship with you. This business, it wants a personal relationship with you. And as it gets a personal relationship with you, and even if you're new, you're going to go off of somebody else's anointing first. But eventually your products go, you got to get a personal relationship, because there's nothing like a personal relationship. Somebody else can talk about Rachel all day and something they've heard about Rachel and how they've heard through the grapevine. But when somebody personally knows me, the way they speak about me is different from somebody who knows of me. So it's the same thing when it comes to your business and the product. So you got to take some time to decide, do you want a hobby where you get paid here and there? I remember having that conversation with my team, like, y'all got to make your hobby money, like, praise God for grace, because you do make some money, but it's here and there. You know, you make a couple hundred there, a couple hundred there. It's because you're doing a hobby. And praise God that this hobby will pay you. But then you also have a part-time, like, mentality where if you don't come to work part-time, guess what? You're going to get fired. And then you have the full-time mentality as well. So that's every single day. So what kind of money you want?
I love all that so much. And even though our 6 list looks a little different than you, like, we feel the exact same way. I always say that your 6 list should be like brushing your teeth. Like, you wouldn't go without brushing your teeth because your kid had a stomach bug, or because you were tired, or your baby was teething, or whatever. You're still going to brush your teeth. You're not going to not brush your teeth because you're traveling to your sister's wedding. You're still going to do it. Like, that's how important brushing your teeth is to you. It's no different with your 6 list, whether you're messaging, whether you're doing host to post, no matter what it is. Like, those things on your 6 list are 100% non-negotiable. And yes, personal development, spiritual development is on your 6 list. And I think that for me, like, one thing that I've realized is that if I'm not, like, it would make no sense for me to do any of the other things if I wasn't doing my personal and spiritual development, because nothing else is going to go the way it should. I am not going to be effective at what I'm doing if I don't start my day off right. Because if God is not in me and I haven't fueled my mind with truth, And I know obviously God is always in us, but if we don't start our day with him and we don't start our day asking him to direct our steps and asking him, lead me to the people who need this business, put the people in my path who I am meant to touch today. If we don't start the day like going before him and asking him to direct us, and we don't start the day off with growth, you're not set up for everything that else could come your way. The only way that and I know you kind of touched on this too, Rachel, but I feel so strongly that the only way I've been able to be consistent throughout everything that's happened to me in this business, through losses, through hardships, through things happening that I never saw happening, through getting pregnant and being so sick. I got pregnant unexpectedly, you guys, with my 5th baby. A few months after going triple diamond. We literally had just been joking around like, oh, maybe we'll have another baby when we go ambassador one day. And then a few weeks later, I was like, I've just been feeling really sick for a while. I don't know what's going on. And I was 8 weeks pregnant. And guys, when I'm pregnant, I literally throw up like 9 to 12 times a day. I'm not even kidding, till like 21, 22 weeks pregnant. Like I get so sick. But I had to learn like really quickly, okay, like my husband's retired, like this business is our livelihood. I got to figure it out. And throughout that time, I had to lean on the Lord and I had to say, Lord, like make your power perfect in my weakness. Like give me your strength. And I prayed so much, you guys, I can't even tell you, it was blue in the face. Give me your perfect peace and give me your strength. Give me the strength that only you can give me, because that's what I need right now. And I'm telling you, like, to some people it may sound cliche, but he answers. And if you go to him humbly like that and you just lay it all out and you're like, Lord, I feel like a mess right now, but I am willing to do what I need to do. Give me your strength. Give me that supernatural energy. He will. And I think that that's just so often, like we forget that, like, it's okay to feel like it's a mess. Like you're not perfect and you're never going to be perfect. You're never going to have it all together, but the Lord looks at your heart. And he knows your heart, your upline, your sidelines. They may look at what they see you doing, but the Lord looks at your heart. And to some of you, that's like reassuring. You're like, oh, that's good. Like he knows me, you know, he knows how I'm really viewing things. But to some of you, that should be really convicting. You're like, oh, he does know my heart. Like he knows that I haven't actually been trying at all. But from that point forward, that's where you can find freedom. That's where you can go forward and you can start positioning yourself to do what you need to do and going to him. Like I love, people ask me all the time, like, oh, like, what do you think is like the best source of accountability for this business? And like, for me, it's God, because I know that he's only going to bless what I'm doing. And so if I'm not giving him anything to bless, guess what? I'm not going to reap any harvest. He will bless the work of your hands, but he cannot bless what you won't do. And so for me, like when I'm going to him at night, like I will literally be so vulnerable and tell him everything I need help with and everything I feel like I need extra equipping with. But I know that I got to hold up my end of the deal. I know that I got to wake up tomorrow and I got to do my part, because he's not just a genie in a bottle. You're like, oh, I would love to go diamond. Can you please make it happen? Send me 14 distributors this month. Like that's not how it works. You have to be willing to plant the seeds. You've got to be willing to do your part. And I just want to say too, and I'm sure that you would agree with this, Rachel, but to me, like if you feel like you're a basket case and you're having a hard time pulling yourself together, start right now making personal development and spiritual development not even just 100% non-negotiable, but it's what consumes your day. Like have it on all throughout the day. Like I tell my team, like if you're having a hard time getting your 6 list done, I want you to start with your self-development, because if you are doing your self-development religiously and it's taking up like a third or more of your time, everything else is going to follow. Because when you're growing, you're going to start getting more mature. You're going to get more self-disciplined. You're going to start doing the things that you need to do.
So good. I got a question on here about your 6 list. I'm sure you have, is it the same every day or does it rotate?
No, it's the same every day. It's super simple. I basically just grow my network every day. So I add 10 to 15 friends on Facebook. Right now I'm at 5,000. So it looks different now. When I started, I was nowhere near 5,000. So I grew every day consistently. Once I hit 5,000, now I just like go through where I like, if I see someone that I'm like, I don't know why we're friends, I'll delete them. And then I re-add that way. But if I'm being honest at this point, I don't add 15 every day because I don't delete that fast. But up until that point, I did 10 to 15 a day. I follow 200 on Instagram a day. I spend 15 minutes a day engaging on both platforms minimum. So that means liking and commenting and just interacting with my network. I just really seek to be a light in people's news feeds. I want them to see me and be like, she's so nice. She's so encouraging. She always has something uplifting to say. That's just kind of my end game, is like, I feel like that is something we get to do in this business, is we get to be a different type of person on social media. So that's super important to me to do that every day. And guys, that's something you can do laying in bed at night. If you had a crazy day, you can lay in bed and take 20, 30 minutes and like and comment on people's things. boom, there's no excuse not to do that. And then I, every day without fail, do my personal development. And then let's see, I post 3 to 6 times a day. So that's kind of something that I set for myself back as an executive. I told myself back then, okay, I need to have a minimum that I'm not willing to fall below. And I want you guys to hear, like, if that's not what your minimum is, that's fine. This is just what works for me. But I won't go below 3 posts in a day. And on an amazing day where I'm on my A game and everything's going so well, then yeah, I'll hit 6. But 3 is my minimum. And so that means it doesn't matter if I'm traveling. It doesn't matter if a stomach bug hits my house. It doesn't matter if we've got, like, we have my daughter's dance recital all day Saturday. Like, it doesn't matter what's going on. You won't ever see me not get 3 posts up, because it's super important to me that I just hold myself to that standard. And I think it's one of those things, if you don't have a standard, you're just floating around all the time. Like, you got to set something, even if it's not the same that I have. But yeah, that's my core things, is growing on Facebook, growing on Instagram, engaging with my network, and then self-development, posting 3 to 6 times a day. And then my 6th thing that I do every day is follow up with anyone I talked to the day before. So I never wait for people to come back to me. I know no one else on here does either, probably, but I'm super assertive with my follow-ups. If I talked to you yesterday, and the conversation just kind of dropped off, like I answered your questions and then I ended on a question and you didn't say anything, you're going to hear from me tomorrow. And I'm just going to check back in, just voice message. I'm just going to say, hey girl, did you have any other questions for me? Did you want to go ahead and get started on that combo we talked about? Or if it's a potential distributor, I'll just check back in and just say, hey girl, just wanted to check on you. What other questions did you have for me? I would love so much to help you get started in the business. So I'm super short, sweet, and to the point. I don't say a lot. I don't have a lot of scripts, but I always make sure that I'm checking back in. I write everyone's name down. And then if they don't answer my check-in, or I don't seal the deal with that check-in the next day, I always do mass follow-ups on Fridays.
That's the juice. We're gonna have to do another one, because then I'm gonna have to ask all the questions. Yes.
We will definitely get another one scheduled. This was so good. My team has been soaking this up, and I'm just so thankful that we were able to do this together, Rachel. You are so amazing. I look up to you so much, and I just am so grateful for you just taking just your time tonight, just pouring out all your wisdom that you've learned over these past 6 years. I just think that you just have so much insight, and I just love your delivery. I love the way that you share things, and I just know that everyone took so much away from this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it, and I love you just as much, but I'll be able to pour all the love back when it's my turn.
Well, I will get this recording uploaded, and I'll get it sent over to you for your team. But thank you guys so much for hopping on. I hope everyone has an amazing month end.
Yay.
Bye,
thank you. Good night.